week 21 of the fantasy baseball season, and it's crunch time now, right before the playoffs in the next couple weeks for fantasy owners. And here's a few pitchers I looked at off the wire this week. The first pitcher, Reed Nelson of the Arizona Diamondbacks. So Reed Nelson, he's been pitching great baseball of late for this Arizona Diamondback team, and now one of the top ads on the waiver wire over the last few weeks. And Nelson in the rotation. Jordan Montgomery, he's out of the rotation, and he was put in the bullpen after a big season last year. Montgomery, it just didn't happen for him. And with this Arizona team playing great baseball, Reed Nelson, he made the most of his opportunity, and now in the rotation. A season for Nelson, 9-6 record, 108 Ks, 130 innings, a 4.29 ERA, 1.28 whip, and 10 quality starts. But the last month of the season, one of the best pitchers in fantasy, 31 2/3, 2-0 record, 38 Ks, a 2.56 ERA, 0.85 whip, and 4 quality starts. So like I said, Nelson, he got in that starting rotation for this Diamondback team. They're one of the hottest teams in all Major League Baseball over the last couple months of the season. And Nelson's paid big dividends for them and fantasy owners, where beginning of the year, people didn't even expect him to be in the rotation. August 9th versus Philly, 7 1/3, no decision. 3 hits, 2 runs, a walk, 9 Ks, a quality start. August 16th at Tampa, 6 1/3. 5 hits, a run, 6 Ks, a quality start. And August 23rd at Boston, 6 innings, got the win. 5 hits, 2 runs, a walk, 7 Ks, a quality starts. A 4 out of 5 outings with a quality start for Reed Nelson. He's going out there. He's getting good run support, no doubt about it, from this Arizona Diamondback team. And he's made the most of his opportunity, and he helped fantasy owners in a big way. So Nelson's still out there in 64% of fantasy leagues. He's an ad this week. The next ad, Luis Severino of the New York Mets. Severino, he's been out there about 55% on the waiver wire all season, and still out there in 50% of leagues. On the year, 147 2/3, 9-6 record, 122 Ks at 3.84 ERA, 1.24 whip, and 10 quality starts. In the last couple weeks, 2-1 record, 19 innings, 21 Ks at 2.37 ERA, 1.16 whip, and a quality start in that time. So Severino, he's been an up-and-down pitcher all season for this Met team. But this late in the game, especially with a few weeks left, and with the playoffs starting in fantasy and head-to-head leagues in a week or two, depending your league format, he's a big ad, is Luis Severino, and he's coming off of 2 good games. August 11th at Seattle, 5 innings, got the loss, 6 hits, 4 runs, 2 walks, 8 Ks. August 17th, the complete game shutout versus the Marlins, 4 hits in that one, 8 strikeouts. And August 22nd at the Padres, solid outing, 5 innings versus a good offense, 5 hits, a run, 4 walks, 5 Ks. So Severino, I know the innings obviously could be a problem for him, and he could revert back to the old way where he's getting hit hard and giving up a lot of runs with 147 innings on the season for Severino. But to find the pitcher, he's been pretty decent and out there in 50% of fantasy leagues. Like I said, this late in the season is hard to find, so I would give Severino a shot. And if he does get bombed, if you want to drop him back to the waiver wire, that's fine. But like I said, he's going out there, he's competing. This Met team, they're in the wild card hunt, they're winning games for the most part, and I think he's a decent ad. The next ad's his teammate David Peterson of the New York Mets. He's been real surprising, his Peterson, no doubt about it. 85 1/3, 8-1 record, 66 Ks, a 2.85 ERA, a 1.32 whip, and 8 quality starts. So Peterson, he looked like a pitcher who just wasn't going to make it in the major leagues. And then all of a sudden this season, he came off the hip injury, and he's been one of the better pitchers in the National League. In the last month, 36 2/3, 3-1 record, 30 Ks, a 2.45 ERA, 1.12 whip, and 4 quality starts. So surprisingly, Peterson, I've mentioned him now the last couple weeks, still out there in 65% of fantasy leagues. And like I said, on a Met team that's competing, they're right there for a wild card spot. And he's been pitching good, and maybe that injury has done him in over the last few seasons, where this season Peterson's turned things around, even though I'm just waiting for the other shoe to drop, knowing his track record. But the last 3 games, August 14th versus Oakland, 6 1/3, got the win. 3 hits, 4 walks, 4 Ks, a quality start. August 19th versus Baltimore, 7 innings, 6 hits, no decision, 2 runs, a walk, 8 Ks, a quality start. And August 24th at San Diego, 7 1/3, got the win. 5 hits, a run, 2 walks, 2 Ks, a quality starts. I thought Peterson, once the competition was going to get tougher with Baltimore and San Diego, he wouldn't hang in there, but he's turned his career around this season, and he's going deeper into games for this New York Met team. So right now, while he's out there in 65% of fantasy leagues, and he just keeps pitching well. You just got to go out there and get him. I'm not saying he's going to be great all season as Peterson, but he's definitely proved me wrong this season, and most people most likely in fantasy baseball, where he's been one of the top pitchers the last few months. And this season, next pitcher I looked at is Osvaldo Bido of the Oakland Athletics. So Bido, he's batting practice the majority of the season, and now over the last month of the season, he's turned his year around on the year. 50 innings, 5-3 record, 51 Ks at 3.24 ERA, 1.14 WHIP, and 3 quality starts. But the last month, 3-2 record, 26 2/3, 29 Ks at 3.38 ERA, 1.13 WHIP, and 3 quality starts. And even deeper, 11 innings in the last 2 weeks, 2-0 record, 12 Ks, 0.82 ERA, 0.73 WHIP, and a quality start. So Bido's out there in 66% of fantasy leagues. This Oakland Athletic team, since the All-Star break, has been one of the better teams, believe it or not, in the major leagues, getting good pitching, especially getting good hitting, and Bido's been a good part of it. His 10th in Toronto, 6 innings, got the win, 2 hits, no runs, a walk, 5 Ks, a quality start. August 17th versus the Giants, 6 innings, got the win, a hit, no runs, 2 walks, 6 Ks, a quality start. And August 22nd versus Tampa, 5 innings in that one, got the win, 2 hits, a run, 3 walks, 6 Ks. So Bido's going out there. He's pitching good baseball. I know it's been versus mid to weak hitting teams, but like I said, to find plays this late in the game with a few weeks left in the fantasy baseball season, you got to go out there and add these players, and they could be league winners for fantasy owners. So his next outing is August 28th at the Cincinnati Reds. Another pretty good matchup on paper. And I give Bido an ad this week. The next pitcher is Albert Suarez of the Baltimore Orioles. So Suarez, he's been solid all season, I think, for this Orioles team. I know he had a little bit of a hiccup in July, but he's returned now to this rotation the last few weeks, and he's pitched good baseball with Suarez. And now with Trevor Rogers sent to the minor leagues, he's got a spot, I think, cemented in the rotation on the year. 6-4 record, 102 innings, 81 Ks, a 3.18 ERA, 1.27 WHIP, and 4 quality starts in the last month since he returned to the rotation. 29 2/3, 1-0 record, 23 Ks, a 2.43 ERA, 1.15 WHIP, and 2 quality starts. And even the last 2 weeks, 18 1/3, 1-0 record, 14 Ks, and 0.98 WHIP, 0.98 ERA, and 2 quality starts. So out there still in tons of fantasy leagues at 68%. And this Baltimore Orioles team, they started off the season one of the hottest teams in the league and best teams, but now they fizzled out a little bit, and they need guys like Suarez to step up, Cade Pavic to step up in this rotation, and Suarez has definitely done that for fantasy owners. And the last few outings for him, August 11th at Tampa, 6 2/3, no decision, 4 hits, no runs, a walk, 5 Ks, a quality start. August 18th versus Boston, 6 innings, got the win, 7 hits, no runs, 6 Ks, a quality start. And his latest outing versus Houston, 5 2/3, no decision, 4 hits, 2 runs, 2 walks, 3 Ks. So Suarez, he's going out there. He's pitching good baseball. He's on a good team, even though, like I said, they faltered a little bit over the last month and a half is this Baltimore Orioles team. But I think he can help fantasy owners, is Albert Suarez. And like I said, he don't give up a lot of runs. I know he don't strike out a lot of people, but he gets those easier outs pitching to contact, and I would give him an ad this week. Next pitcher, Lucas Hurkhead of the Kansas City Royals. So Hurkhead was a nice find for them at the Major League trade deadline for this Royal team. And now this Royal team, they're right there in the thick of things, first place in the Central all of a sudden. Hurkhead, this is the most likely last chance for fantasy owners to go out there and get him on the waiver wire. Only out there in 51% of fantasy leagues. And this week, believe it or not, I'm not big on closes usually, but at the end of this list, there's a decent amount of closes I think help fantasy owners. Down the stretch, 48 innings on the year, 2-3 record, 7 saves, 56 Ks, a 2.81 ERA, 1.02 WHIP. So this team, they definitely needed help at the back end of the bullpen was this Kansas City Royal team, where they had some veterans closing out games like Will Smith. They had MacArthur, who was a youngster up and coming a little bit as well, closing out ball games. But they get Eckert, and now he's been the closer over the last few weeks. In the last month of the season, he hasn't given up a run, and he's been unhittable, 12 1/3 in the time. 0-0 record, 5 saves, 16 Ks, no ERA, and 0.49 WHIP. So Eckert's been a big part over the last month of the season since the deadline, where this Kansas City Royal team went out there and get him. If he can help fantasy owners in a big way, I think Hurkhead, because saves, I know isn't a big stat, but if you want to keep ERA down and your K rate still pretty decent, if you want to load up with 3 or 4 closes on your roster towards the end of the season, where it's definitely harder to find starting pitching more in categories league, because points leagues, you need those pitchers that obviously are going to get points, get the innings, get the Ks. But category leagues and roto leagues is where these relievers will pay dividends, in my opinion, for fantasy owners, where especially in roto league, you want to keep innings down, you want to keep K rate at a decent rate. And in those deep roto leagues is where these closers will help the most. And category leagues, if you just want to win that category easily and keep your ERA down and your whip. So Urquhart this week, well, he's been one of the best closers over the last month and taking that role over there in Kansas City, available in 51% of fantasy leagues. Next pitcher is his teammate Michael Lorenzen of the Kansas City Royals. Another deadline acquisition it was for them, for this Royal team, where he's taken the spot of Alec Marsh, and he's pitched well, Lorenzen. Last year he did it as well for Philadelphia down the stretch on the season. 124 and a third, 7-6 record, 91 Ks, a 3.47 ERA, a 1.25 whip, and 9 quality starts. But the last month of the season, 27 and 2/3, 2-1 record, 18 Ks, a 3.29 ERA, 1.32 whip, and a quality start. So Lorenzen's going out there. Once again, he's pitching in a pennant race like he did last season. And that's just been the case with Lorenzen. He signs late in the offseason with a team that might make it, not make it, even though he did sign with the Rangers, who won the World Series last season. And obviously they sold off a little bit at the deadline. And now he's pitched well since he reached Kansas City August 9th versus St. Louis, 4 1/3, no decision. Sits 3 runs, 2 walks, 3 Ks. 16th at Cincinnati, 5 2/3, got the win. 2 hits, a run, 3 walks, 3 Ks in that ball game. And then this latest outing, he pitched a gem versus one of his former teams, the Angels. 7 innings, got the win. 4 hits, no runs, 2 walks, 5 Ks, a quality start. So Lorenzen, he's got good stuff. I think he's a good back end of the rotation player for fantasy owners in deep leagues, and obviously in real life as well. I think he's a good 4th or 5th starter for this Kansas City Royal team, and he's hitting his stride of late. So right now, while he's out there in 78% of fantasy leagues, and he's got a middle-of-the-pack matchup coming at the Guardians August 27th, I would go out there and get Lorenzen this week. The next pitcher Edwin Uceta, the Tampa Bay Rays. Uceta, another unknown guy who's bounced around over the last few seasons. And obviously Tampa Bay, they could scoop up a player no one's heard of and turn him into a great reliever or a great starter. And that's exactly what's happened with Uceta this season. So right now he's closing games with Fairbanks out. Tampa Bay, we know, is out of it this season. They sold off at the deadline. But Uceta can help fantasy owners, and he's out there in 73% of leagues. On the year, 31 1/3, 1-0 record, a save, 39 Ks, an 0.86 ERA, an 0.61 whip. Last couple weeks, 7 2/3, 1-0 record, a save, 10 Ks, no ERA, 0.65 whips. I know this Tampa Bay Ray team, they're not going to win a lot of ball games, but Uceta's getting the save opportunities now to close over there for Tampa Bay. And just if you want a low ERA and someone who's going to help that in your whip, Uceta for roto leagues is a great ad as well. And even category leagues, and those deep 14-team leagues are deeper as Uceta. So like I said, I'm not really big on closer, but with the lack of starting pitching over the last few weeks out there on the waiver wire, and some closers emerging, even though they're on bad teams and not teams that are going to make the playoffs, they still have value. And Uceta's one of those pitchers, like I said, been one of the better relievers in all Major League Baseball this season. I know it's only been 31 1/3, but someone still with an ERA under 1, closer for Tampa Bay. You got to go out there and get him on your roster. Like I said, roto leagues and head-to-head is where these guys will pay bigger dividends than points leagues. It's definitely an ad this week. The next pitcher is another closer, Jorge Lopez of the Chicago Cubs. So Lopez, he wasn't great this season early in the year with the New York Mets. Then they cut him loose after he threw his glove in the crowd. He went to the Dodgers for a little bit, didn't do much there. And now he's found his footing with the Chicago Cubs and pitching great over the last month. On the year total, the numbers have been decent as well. 49 innings, 2-2 record, 4 saves, a 2.39 ERA, 1.22 whip in the last month. No record, 13 innings, 2 saves, 18 Ks, and 0.69 ERA, 0.85 whip. So he's the closer, it looks like right now for the Chicago Cub team is Jorge Lopez. And he's going in there, and he's gotten the last 2 save opportunities for Chicago. We know they cut loose Hector Neris early in the week. He signed back with the Houston Astros. And Hodge, I know he's been getting some opportunities as well, but Jorge Lopez, it looks like he's the closer for this Cub team, and this Cub team's hovering around 500, where they'll win some ball games, and then some games they won't. It's just been up and down all season for them, but Lopez out there in 80% of fantasy leagues. And like I said, if you need a closer, he'll help in those roto leagues and head-to-head leagues. And the final pitcher I looked at off the wire is Andre Pallante of the St. Louis Cardinals. So Pallante, he's come out of nowhere this season, and he's been a solid back end of the rotation starter for this Cardinal team. And right now, he's available in 93% of fantasy leagues on the season, 86 2/3, 6-6 record, 65 Ks, 3.84 ERA, 1.29 WHIP, and 5 quality starts. But the last couple weeks, 2-0 record, 14 innings, 10 Ks, a 1.93 ERA, 0.93 WHIP, and 2 quality starts. So Pallante surprising, still out there in tons of fantasy leagues. I know most people most likely think it's a fluke for Pallante, but this time of the season, you got to find these diamond in the roughs and guys who could take by surprise and could be league winners. And right now, Pallante definitely could be that, and he's going deeper into games. He's been stretched out over the last few weeks, going 6-7 innings for the St. Louis Cardinal team, and he's definitely someone I would get. I know this Cardinal team's fizzled out a little bit since the All-Star break, but Pallante's going out there and pitching well. August 10th at Kansas City, 5 2/3, no decision, 3 hits, a run, 4 walks, 4 Ks. August 17th versus a great Dodger team, 7 innings, got the win, 4 hits, 2 runs, 2 walks, 5 Ks, a quality start. And August 23rd at the Twins, 7 innings, got the win, 5 hits, a run, 2 walks, 5 Ks, a quality start. So Pallante, he's going out there. He's pitching great baseball, even versus a good Dodger team. That was a tough test for him. He went out there, did the 7 innings, got the win. And his next outing is August 28th versus the Padres. And I think he could go out there as well and pitch halfway decent. So like I said, starting pitching and any type of good pitching this late in the season is valuable for fantasy owners, especially if they're trying to get in one of those last spots for the playoff for the season, or right there in the standings in the Roto League to try to win the league. So that's a few pitches I looked at off the wire for Week 21 of the fantasy baseball season.